Okay, 3, 2, 1, it's jam.
What is up guys, G here back with another video. Today I do want to make a video more on the educational side of the unusual whales. So I've kind of brought this up and started incorporating it in some of my videos, but today I kind of want to break down one of the plays that I did this week, and then hopefully you guys can pick up a few strategies from at least what I'm doing so far. So I did make 70%. It is not a huge gain, but I do think this is a great example of how I'm starting to use the platform. And if you guys didn't know, I did get partnered up with the Unusual Whales, and they were actually generous enough to give me a discount code, so I did put that in the description below. You can actually create a free account. They send out free alerts, and they just released a free flow alert as well. So at the very least, I really recommend you guys make an account, and definitely use the link that I provided, because if you do upgrade to a paid subscription, then you'll definitely save a little bit there. Also, while you're down there, go ahead and smash that like button for me and subscribe to the channel. It really does help my channel grow. And if you guys do have any questions, definitely put them in the comments below and I'll try to answer them the best I can. Alright guys, hopping over to the Unusual Whales platform, the first thing you'll probably want to do is click on the flow, and this is going to be the live flow. This is probably where you'll spend most of your time. At least for now, this is where I'm spending most of my time, and then I'll kind of pivot over to other places within the platform, but for the main part, this is probably where you'll be the most of the time. And so the really cool thing about Unusual Whales is you can actually create your own custom views here, and you can see I've already made a few. Don't really know if there's like a limit to those, but you can actually go ahead and save some of these options that are kind of throughout the filters, and that's what's really cool. And so usually during the market hours, I usually just have a few of these filters turned on, and then they'll just filter out all the noise that I don't want based off of these filters. So the first one that I actually kind of want to show you guys, and this is the one that I actually found that Pendual Dual flow, was the 200k whale. And so basically what I do for this one is, and we'll just reset this, actually we'll reset it and then reapply it, just to kind of show you guys how it kind of updates all the filters here. So the first thing that does change is the 200 premium. This is just going to filter out any order that's a lot smaller than 200k. So you can see all the orders here are 200k or more, and that's basically what I'm targeting with this filter. I want to see a lot of money going into a certain stock, and then kind of further evaluate in which direction I'm going to play it. Now there is a lot of noise here as well, so one thing that I actually add here is I usually subtract Tesla and Amazon, and that's just because these usually trade with a lot of premium and they usually can clog up the flow. So I just like personally to take these out, since I won't personally be trading them, but that definitely can be something you guys adjust. So again, the first thing that I changed was the 200k. The other filters I'm going to leave alone. I don't want to put any bias as far as the flow coming in, and so for this one we're just going to leave everything here alone. I do want to exclude all the ETFs and the indexes, so I actually do exclude these here. And so the emojis that I select are ETF, index, and leap, and so those are going to be excluded from the list here. And again, I want to exclude those because they usually trade in high volumes and premium, and I don't really want them clogging up all the flow that comes in. The next thing that I actually do change, and this is still something I'm still working with, but it's the date to expiration range, and you can basically set your range as far as how long you want the contracts to come in. So 64 days is about 2 months. I'm kind of messing around with this between 1 month and 2 months, but you can definitely kind of still play with this a little bit and kind of adjust it to your time frame. So since I'm a short-term, mid-term trader, swing trader, I think 1 month to 2 months is good for me right now. And then the last thing here that I want to show you guys is all these options here, and the ones for this filter, I just include the deep out of the money contracts, and then also the out of the money contracts. So we don't really care about orders that are placed deep in the money, and we also only want the out of the money contracts, because that's going to give us an idea that there's an expected move within this time frame. So that is all the filters that I use for the 200k. Obviously, like I said, I do have other filters, and I usually have these running in separate tabs, but again, for the purposes of the Pendual Dual play, I actually found it using this flow. And so I'm actually going to go ahead and click on this range and show you guys when I actually found this order come in, and that's going to be for April 7th. We'll go ahead and apply this time frame, and I think it came in around 11 or 12. So let's go ahead and see if we can find that. I did add one of the hearts there, so it should be easier to see as well. So it came in around 11-12 central, and actually there were a few of the Pendual Dual orders come in. Pretty clean orders if you take a look. It's just a buy to sell or buy to open. It was actually executed near the ask as well, so that does give us a little bit more confidence that this one was a buy to open, and so this is going to be a bearish order. And so one of the first things that I kind of want to point out is the reason I took this trade was because I don't normally see a lot of Pendual orders orders come in. And so you can always see a lot of Apple, Nvidia, Netflix. You don't really see these large orders for stocks like this. And so that's what actually drew me into this play. Again, like I said, these are pretty clean orders. There's no multi-legs as far as the icons here. I usually try to stay away from the multi-legs because they can be spreads, and then also the cross orders can also be confusing. So this one for the most part was very clean. It was just a buy to open, and it was a really good size position as well. So 800k was very huge, and then also 38 puts from May 6th, and you can also see that we had one order before that as well, so down here. So for the most part, these orders were nicely sized. We had 1,000 there, another 1,000 there, and then 3,000, so about 5,000 contracts. And so that is the first step, is kind of identifying a option flow that's kind of unusual, and then from there you can start digging further into it if you think there is a potential play there. And so the next step after identifying this was to click the volume for this one. And so you can see for April 7th there was actually no open interest, and then this huge volume started coming in, right? And so the biggest thing is I didn't start the position till the next day here, and that's because I kind of wanted to confirm that a lot of these volume and contract actually was held overnight. And as you can see, I double checked on April 8th, and a lot of those contracts that got traded on the 7th actually were held overnight. And this was actually kind of more like a leading indicator that there could be some more moves coming. Now obviously this is not just going to be the only thing to use as far as taking place, but this definitely did feel reassuring. And so then even up to this date, April 14, a lot of those contracts are still open, and so I think there's still room for a downside. And so just moving back, that is the second thing that I really pointed out. So first I like to find an unusual order that comes in, and then I like to take a look at the open interest versus the volume. And then finally the third thing that I like to look at so far is actually going to be the flow level. And so I click on the option ticker there, and then you're going to be taken to this intra-trade analysis. And so this is going to be another place that I spend a lot of time in, but you have all these tabs that are very useful. For example, you can take a look at the full options breakdown chain, and so you can take a look at where the open interest is. You do have open interest changes here, and then options charting. But the most important ones that I like to look at is the flow level here, and this is going to be based off the premium range. So scrolling all the way down to the bottom, you can see the minimum premium is 1,000. You can see most of the order flow is bearish here, and then you can use some of these other indicators to kind of help gauge the bullishness and bearishness. I like to kind of scroll all the way down to the bottom and actually take a look at the bigger orders. So this is going to be minimum of $30,000 here. And so the first thing that you're going to note is the bullish versus bearish premiums here. And obviously it does look like it's bullish, but if you actually take a look at the breakdown by expiration, you can see that most of that bullishness won't be till 2024. And then also using this chart, you can see a breakdown of the bearishness versus the bullishness. And you can see for the first 2 months here, even going into May, you can see there's a lot more premium that's going into the bear side. And so that's going to yet again help us reassure some of those puts that were coming in. So you can definitely take a look at all the pie charts here. The one thing that I'll point out is there is a lot of call volume, but again, that doesn't technically mean that it's bullish. As you can see, there is a lot of action on the bid side. So it could be that this call volume is actually bearish if it's being executed at the bid side. So that means that they're going to be selling those calls. I want to go ahead and switch back over to the order flow here, so the live flow, and I'm going to actually apply another filter. This is just going to be a more traditional, more casual filter. This one's going to have a premium of around 45,000, and this is going to give us a better idea of a pretty good size order. As you can see from the last time that we spotted that order here, the only orders that have really came in that are huge or more than 45,000 have been these two bearish orders, this bearish one here, and then one bullish order here. So for the most part, it does look like it's more on the bearish side. And like I explained earlier, even though this is a call, this is still a bearish position because they did execute this more on the bid side, so 115. And so that is going to come as a bearish order, and that basically just tells us that they basically sold the calls here. So they are selling the 55 calls for May 20th. The last thing I want to do is just modify the premium range and cut it down just to get a better idea. So we're going to do 25,000, and for the most part, not much is going to change. You can see there are some bullish orders that came in, but for the most part, everything does seem to still be more on the bearish side. So basically, just to recap what I did, I first saw an unusual order that came in for Pendule Dual. Not many orders come in with a large scale like this, and then after that, I decided to take a look at the open interest versus the volume, and then we also took a look at the flow levels, and you can actually take a look at some of the active negative change if you like, but for the most part that kind of was the starting indicator for me. And then the rest is kind of wait a little bit and see if more bullish or bearish flow comes in, and then from there you can actually start incorporating this into the technical analysis. And so after I got a pretty good idea that there was an expected move coming, then I kind of shift over to the chart and see if I can create a bearish or bullish thesis for this order flows. So right off the back, the first thing that I noticed was there was a potential gap filled down here. So I did initially think, well, before we start moving higher, we probably need to go ahead and fill this gap. Okay, clearing some of that out of the way, I also did notice a double top here. By the way, I did rewind this on TradingView back down to April 7th just to give you guys a better idea of what I was expecting going into the rest of the week. And so the first thing, like I said, I saw a potential double top, but we are also seeing higher highs here. So I did expect maybe another retouch of this descending resistance. So we had the double top here, but we were getting lower highs here. So I expected maybe a retouch about 45. Possibly the 44, since that is our monthly level here marked in green. So initially that was the first thing I noticed. So I want to go ahead and clear it all out of the way and kind of want to pivot over to the OBV on the daily here, just to give you guys another backing of how we could possibly create that bullish or bearish thesis. So far it was still kind of early. We were expecting maybe more of a move towards the start of May, maybe the end of April. And so that pennant does give us a good idea that there is still a pattern developing. From the OBV, you can kind of see we did fall back underneath this nice support level. So this was a really good support for the OBV, nice resistance there, supports here. And then we were trying to break above it twice. The first time we failed, the second time we did, but it looks like it was a false breakdown. And obviously it looks like we're back in the kind of a downward pattern. So if we can actually hold this, we would possibly maybe break back out. So in the short term, it could still be bullish, and that would indicate that retouch about 45 near the resistance level. So moving back to the daily chart, we obviously had some bearish option flow come in. We had a nice bearish thesis because of the gap here. So that was another indicator that those puts were very valid. And then since they were still towards the end of April, beginning of May, there was time for this pattern to kind of fully develop. And so let's go ahead and play this out. And so you can see the next day it started retouching these levels up here, this 44 monthly, but it actually never broke out. And at this point here is actually when I did end up adding more to those puts, but this ascending resistance actually was another good indicator that there was going to be some downside. And so for the overall picture, you can see this was consolidating, and obviously now we are broken down. I did take some profits here at $40 just because it is a psychological support. But if the indexes do continue to sell off, I possibly do see more downside, especially since those puts options did have tons of time. Like I said, those are going into May, so I do think like by that time frame this gap will actually be filled, and I'll probably come down to about $30 if that all works out. And so the last thing that really just confirmed this bearishness was the OBV. Again, if we take a look at this here, you could see that the stock price was going back up to 45, right? But at that point, the OBV was not following it. It was actually going in the opposite direction. There was obviously downward volume, but the stock price was going up. So that actually didn't reflect the stock price. And so that basically confirmed some of the bearishness from the options flow, especially after getting rejected at this level here. So guys, that's gonna about wrap up today's video. Obviously the play wasn't like a huge return, it was just 70%, but I think this was a great example to kind of start illustrating some of the strategies that I'm trying to incorporate. Again, I am already using the platform in some of my other videos, but I kind of wanted to focus on breaking down a play and kind of give you guys an idea. So hopefully you guys picked up one or two things from this strategy. And again, I am still kind of developing this, so there's still kind of be some changes, and hopefully we can get better as we move forward. But so far this is actually working, so I'm very excited. Definitely check out the links in the description so you guys can save a little bit. At the very least, create that free account. Let me know your thoughts on this play. What do you guys think? Do you guys think we continue to sell off going into that gap fill? But the main strategy is to use the unusual whales flow as a core of your strategy and start combining it with some of your other tools, and hopefully bringing all that together you can have more success in your place. For me personally, the unusual whales platform is really helping me so far. It's giving me more confidence in taking some plays and giving me a better idea of the direction of the flow. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Take a second to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you guys want to see more videos like this. And if you guys have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comments below and I will try to answer them the best I can. I hope you guys have a great day. I will see you guys in the next video, and as always, keep moving forward.